Welcome. This is a semi-annual update of the Water Harvesting and Erosion Control Committee for the Agua Dulce Homeowners Association. Tonight, I'll summarize a new interface for reviewing common area water consumption, demonstrate how it can be used to highlight abnormal water use, and conclude with some recommendations for your discussion. Before we get there, though, let's bring everyone up to date on path and basin maintenance. In 2021, volunteers rebuilt some of our degraded paths over the course of 2 months using 10 yards of heavier gravel. This material is being tested to see if we can realize a more sustainable remedy for path maintenance. Our first monsoon rainfall this year measured 0.68 of an inch. Regarding path maintenance, the heavier gravel we installed last year is doing a pretty good job of holding the underlying decomposed granite in place in problem areas such that no repairs were necessary. For example, here you can see where stormwater flows through the gravel, which is held in place, unlike prior years. This is in line with what we observed after last year's repairs, but things could change in a heavier storm, so we are keeping an eye on it. This is typical of what we encounter after an intense summer rainfall. In response, we've installed basins on the sides of our paths and used the excavated material to develop gentle swales that redirect that stormwater away from problem areas. This redirected stormwater can now be used to water our desert natives while also be given the opportunity to spread and infiltrate downstream. This relieves pressure on downstream areas that would otherwise be subject to yearly erosion and eventual failure of adjacent paths. Although paths are holding up, some of our adjacent basins could be improved. Specifically, our basins contain no mulch, which is critical to storing harvested or irrigated water. In the absence of mulch, water is quickly lost to evaporation, thus increasing our reliance on irrigation, which costs the HOA money. As communicated by Watershed Management Group in 2015, mulch also contributes carbon to our nutrient-poor soils, which in turn supports the health of our common area vegetation. This is a new map of our HOA's common area Tucson water meters. This also provides a general overview of common areas that are irrigated based on a historical hard copy map we've used to reference projects and parcels in the past. To facilitate communication, this information is now embedded in an online Geographic Information System, or GIS, in line with committee promises made at the annual meeting. Not only can this help in tracking water use, it can also assist with other projects, including mapping road conditions, thanks to the spreadsheets developed by Gerald over the years. In this map, each water meter can be clicked on to bring up historical consumption and cost linked to a database generated from historical Tucson water billing. The web map also hosts charts that summarize the history of water use as of 2019 and further back if we desire to show that data. Those charts are now accessible by clicking on this icon, with examples I'll demonstrate for your review. In this chart, you can see aggregate consumption and cost to the HOA for watering of common areas. Here you'll notice that recent water use has gone up significantly when compared to the last 3 years. This is translated into increased billing, surpassing what we've witnessed since 2019, coming in at over $1,700 for the month of June. So how can we better understand what might be the cause of this increase? Here's a second view that discretizes consumption by meter. Although water rates have gone up, here you can see the consumption associated with meters 443310, 443322, 443336, and 449946 have all increased over the last quarter. Although we can now pinpoint higher consumption by specific meters, this still leaves us with the question of whether this is just seasonal or if something else is going on. To help on that front, our new GIS gives us the ability to compare water use by season for each meter. Let's go through each of our higher water use meters, specifically looking at spring dating back to 2019. Meter 443310 is located on magnetite by the pool. Note that if we zoom in, there are actually 2 meters by the pool, so I'm assuming that 1 meter serves the pool area and another is for landscaping, but I'm not exactly sure which meter serves what at this time. Regardless, we can see water use has gone up significantly in the spring relative to the prior 3 years at this location. In addition, we can now easily see what this meter is costing the HOA to maintain, with billing more than doubling relative to the last 3 years. Moving forward, I'll present both cost and consumption on the same graph for the remaining 3 meters. Meter 443322 is located on Palisite, right where we enter the community. We can see this meter is also, in fact, consuming significantly more water relative to the prior 3 years in spring. Now that we have this data in a user-friendly graphical interface, we can improve communication with the board and our landscapers for feedback. In doing so, we should emphasize that our last bill for this meter came in at $616, and not surprising given our significantly higher consumption at this location. Next, let's move on to meter 443336 located on Tombolo. This meter isn't consuming as much as we've witnessed during our last dry spring in 2020, but it is showing an overall increasing trend. Cost for this meter was also significant, coming in at $286 during our last billing cycle. Finally, let's check meter 449946 located by the community entrance, which I believe is the same meter that hosts our water feature. Here we can see another significant increase in June consumption and billing. So overall, it's clear our water use has gone up beyond what we've used in similarly prior dry years since 2019. In reviewing prior committee reports, I can confirm water use has increased in response to valves being left open, leaks in our irrigation system, or poor irrigation timing. This in no way is meant to suggest that the board hasn't or isn't responding to these challenges when they're communicated. In fact, the overall trend since we started these activities is certainly positive, but the last 3 months have been challenging in the context of the last 3 years. In this regards, having this data easily accessible in a GIS can raise awareness and improve efficiency in responding to these events when they take place, with the goal of saving the HOA both water and money at a time when water is becoming more scarce and water rates are increasing. In conclusion, please consider this photo taken within our own HOA demonstrating that when we slow the flow of water and provide rock or organic ground cover to diminish evaporation, many of the same desert natives growing in our common areas do just fine without any supplemental irrigation. The water harvesting strategies implemented in our common areas are meant to mimic respective conditions and do work when properly maintained. Although there's no question we've made progress since 2016, things have flatlined over the last 3 years. Given the emergency water situation facing the Southwest, I'm recommending a new baseline to support new strategies over the next 5 years. Specifically, please consider using 2019 as our current baseline for water consumption with the goal of diminishing common area water use by another 50% by 2027. This will help the HOA save money and meet the serious challenges associated with climate change and drought, keeping in mind that California has precedence over Arizona when it comes to Colorado River water allocations. As suggested in the summary, I'm not exactly sure which areas are served by which meter. I'd recommend we update our new GIS with a formal map of irrigation lines to include details of which zones are supported by which meters, and amend this data with irrigation schedules, as these are updated in response to the seasons. Having these details will help the community monitor and respond to leaks more efficiently, especially if we know when the irrigation system is turned on. Next, I'd recommend developing a standard operating procedure for shutting down our irrigation at critical times during the monsoon or when significant leaks are witnessed. As it now stands, it takes time to respond to leaks or saturated ground that's being irrigated, requiring coordination with board members or a management company, and always with our landscapers. Given the rising cost of water, we should be able to address respective needs immediately when leaks or waste are being observed, and then inform our contractor of any changes that were made for readjustment. Please consider using our Water Harvesting Committee's current annual budget to purchase a heavy-grade mulch that's less susceptible to wind and stormwater. We can stage this material in the pool area as has been done in the past, and I'm more than willing to personally distribute this in our basins, along with any other community volunteers willing to help via an announcement on our community board. Although I've had great success with sustainability using this heavier material in my own yard, we can start small, maybe 1 cubic yard installed along palisite, to see how a heavier grade material performs in our common areas. Finally, if a GIS is something the board deems useful, we should probably investigate purchasing an HOA license, given that the current demonstration is being realized on my own personal Esri license. For the time being, I'm happy to share my associated credits and expertise with the HOA, and Esri hasn't complained about me doing this, but licensing may not be sustainable into the future. If you see value in a GIS, please let me know if you'd like me to consult with Esri accordingly. That concludes this semi-annual report. I appreciate the invitation by our HOA board president to prepare this mid-year update, and hope this video format improves our ability to review and consider recommendations moving forward. Thank you for your consideration. Bye.